in deserving of a Hall of Fame spot and haven't yet got in.
I mean,
Understand the question.
we have I asked him,
Just if there's anyone, any wrestlers that deserve to go to the Hall of Fame that haven't yet, like Bruno Sammartino. Anyone?
okay, gotcha, yeah. No, I mean, I think everybody's probably, feels like Savage out of being there.
There can't be much of a Hall of Fame without my brother Owen. Macho Man's another one, like Shawn said, I mean, I can't picture a Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame without Randy Macho Man in there. He's for sure one of the greatest of all time, so.
Forward Macho for the Hall of Fame!
Your name's where you from? My name is Derek and I'm from Chicago. And sorry, I'm very nervous. But forgive the cliche question. I just want to know who are some opponents that you guys have never faced that you might have won to face. No.
Kurt Angle comes to mind. I would love to wrestle Cena. I would love to wrestle with my attitude with when I was sort of a bad guy and with the Hart Foundation, Dave Lowen and Bill Pillman and everybody. It would have been, to me, he would have been the perfect hero to work against. And I just wish I could have worked with him one time just for that reason. I would have had maybe the best match Shawn Cena ever had.
Hell yeah! That's true.
I think the most of my guys would be, older guys. I mean, I don't know how many people would know, but I mean, for me, it would be, a guy like Harley Race. Guys like Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens. Those were guys that were just before their time. Way back when. So I mean, honestly, Ricky Steamboat would be another guy. But for me, it would be more the guys that I watched growing up. So I never got the chance to get in the ring with.
Your name, sir, where are you from?
My name is Matthew. I'm from Ohio. And my question is, I know that you both respectively are icons in the industry and come from very different backgrounds, like Stu Hart's son, Jim. And my question is for both of you, what was your hardest obstacle early on in your careers? The biggest, roadblock to get past?
I mean, for me, I guess, I'd say coming here, obviously getting, to the WWE, I think both of us, Bret and I both started back when, there were some territories and things like that, and then the WWF at the time, they got big, and this is the place you wanted to get. So, obviously first, getting here is tough, but then, honestly, I think it was trying to, get them over the whole you're not big enough thing. That was, I know both of us dealt with that certainly sometimes. So for me personally, I would say the joy that was here in the WWE and just trying to get, that stigma of, you had to be 6'5" and 285 to be on top of the WWE.
I think for me, probably the hardest part, and for me was, like Shawn said, was getting big enough, in those days. It took me a long time to get over 200 pounds. It took me forever. And then when I finally got to be 200 pounds, that was like a big breakthrough for me. It's funny how you think about those kind of things and you realize how they weren't really that important in the long run, But in the beginning, when you first start, you worry about everything. I remember when I first wrestled, and the very first time I walked out in the ring was, that was probably the hardest thing I ever did, is just going out there the very first time and being heckled and, having no tan and having no muscles. And, it was kind of like, when I think back to those days, I realize how much guts it took to do it. It was like, it was very, you had to really suck it up to go out there. And I think when I think back to, say, my wrestling for 6 months or maybe the first year, I don't think it was kind of downhill after that as far as what my fears were. I always thought I had the talent, but I just was looking for the breaks. You're welcome. Your name, sir, and where you from?
I'm Nick, I'm from Manhattan. My first question is for Bret. The story is that you wanted to go after Montreal, you wanted to go the night out and get the belt, so you no longer work for the company. Were you honest to your will, like would you have actually given the belts up the next night on TV? And for Shawn, you've had a bunch of great matches, both of you respectively. What was your favorite, like what do you think was your best, and what was your career defining match?
Well, going back to, what was your question again? I was always good for my word. I didn't have any reason to suddenly lie, you know, and tell them, what good am I going to do with the belt at home, you know?
Picking my favorite has always been, the most difficult, the most difficult question I get. I mean, I was really fortunate to be a part of some, extremely special matches. So pinning it down to one is always tough. I mean, you go back to your first match ever, which is always special, and then the ladder match was very, very special. Obviously, my hour match with Bret, the first championship, was special. So I mean, for me, it's very tough to pin it down to one. And I guess I would go for a career defining too. I mean, I think the one. Certainly the one where everybody at least started to take notice of me and believed that I could, be a top guy would have been the ladder match at WrestleMania 10. I think that's the one that at least got me, noticed, in the eyes of the company, more so than any other match.
Your name, sir, and where are you from?
I'm Justin Johnson from Arlington, New Jersey. I just had a question, sort of for Shawn. Shawn, when you came back after 2002, obviously you had a big lifestyle change. Your promos back in '97 with Bret, were kind of, pretty personal. Just wondering, after you came back, was there certain stuff that you told WWE that you didn't want to do anymore, like those, risque promos back then? Because your promo in 2005. I mean, were you against being a heel when you came back?
I wasn't against it. Yes, to your the first part of the question. Yeah, I mean, there were certain things. I mean, I can remember wasn't too long being back, and I just didn't want to be doing a bunch of cussing. I mean, I was still in the process of one, being new back anyway, and certainly wanting to earn the trust of guys that I'd worked with in the past. So, yeah, I did. I put some limitations on things. And as far as the heel in 2005, I wasn't opposed to it in the respect that I didn't want to be a heel. I was worried that I wasn't going to be good at it, and they wanted me to. What I was told was, I want the HBK from 1997, and I said, geez, I mean, we can't. I mean, nobody wants that. I don't consider myself a great actor, and so I'm not, really into it. It's not going to be any good. So it was easier for me to go more of the comedic role with the heel persona. That's something I can do. I'm silly by nature, so that was something that I could do. But no, I just didn't think that. It's like when I come back now. There have been times that I've given a promo to where they want me to say that losing that match is the hardest thing that's ever happened to me. And for 3 years I've been I'm not. And so I mean I can't do that. So we have to. Yeah. But we have to alter that a little bit, because I can't go out there and say that it's been miserable being home for the last 3 years. It's been the 3 greatest years of my life, man. It's like, so So point being, I still want to do a good job as I tried to in 2005, and it was also the idea that I was going to be a heel for whatever it was, like a month, and then but no, we want you back. It's like, geez, that's. It's not easy to do. You don't just turn it on and turn it off like a light switch and expect to keep any credibility. So I had to be very delicate. So I mean, I was at least hands-on with it and, did the best job I could. Plus I knew, no matter what I did, there were certain people that weren't going to be happy with it anyway. So, but I guess that's the long and short of it. Do that?
Welcome, your name, sir? Where are you from?
My name is Ray. I'm from the Bronx, New York. Just want to have your opinion on, fantasy matchups. That's like the theme now with WrestleMania. If you both weren't out of retirement and you could work with somebody currently on the roster just to put on the best wrestling match or steal the show, which you both always do, which talent would you like to work with if you wasn't out of retirement and you could go one more time, which I think we were all about.
And then that's, you're asking on the card that's this Sunday, somebody on the card or that's current on the roster?
Yeah, anybody currently on the roster that you just like the in-ring work efforts, and who will put on the best wrestling match with you guys if you still have one more match to go as a fantasy match?
Well, I think for me, just like I said a few minutes ago, a fantasy match would be when I was a heel with that, when I had that USA Canada stuff going. I just can't imagine. Every time I see John Cena, I go, he would have been ideal. He would have been perfect. Maybe if I could have wrestled him right after the Patriot, maybe it would have been. It would have fit right in. I mean, I just know that I have a lot of respect for John Cena, and I would love to have worked with him one time. And also, I relate to his fact that he's been a hero for so long that people have sort of starting to turn, the tide's turning against him. But anyone that knows John Cena knows that he can't ever be anything but a good guy, But in my case, being the good guy that I was and having trouble with that same problem where I was the crowd was starting to get edgier and wanting a rougher kind of style and stuff. And then I started to give that character. I was able to switch and kind of revert back to my old Bret the Hitman Hart character that I was with Jim Neidhart. And in saying all that, I mean, I think Bret Hart and John Cena doing a babyface match would be really brutal, maybe, but Bret Hart, the heel against John Cena would be one of the great matches of all time. I guess I'd probably pick
Punk and Brian.
Your name, sir, where are you from?
Luke DeAndrew, Staten Island, New York. I want to ask you guys about how do you feel about the current state of the WWE programming as opposed to the Attitude Era, maybe even in the early 90s? What you guys like about it, what you don't like, and what you would maybe do differently? Like you feel it's too much interviews, talking, less matches?
Yeah, I think it's way too much. I can't hardly take it Monday nights anymore. So someone please stop talking and start wrestling, just...
Go back in 2 hours!
It wears me out a little bit. I think that I tip my hat to all the wrestlers today, like Punk and Bryan Daniels. There's a Daniel Bryan. There's just such great innovators. They come up with new stuff, new moves. And a lot of wrestlers come up with new stuff and new moves. And I'll be honest, when I finished wrestling when I retired in '99, I did every single move that I could ever think of. I remember lying in bed and thinking, I can't think of anything else to do. Not one single new move. And I remember those days, and I wasn't in it much longer after that. But when I look at it now, it's like I could rip off all kinds of these new guys' moves and stuff. And I tip my hat to all of them. They've been very imaginative, and it takes a lot to create something. It's hard to, I don't want to bore anyone with all this stuff, but wrestling is just a square with some ropes around it. It's not like Broadway where you got all these backdrops and different sets and stuff, and all the stuff, pageantry that you get with Broadway. It's tough to go up there and create something fresh and new that nobody's seen before, and I'm proud to say that I did it night after night after night for a really long time. I'm proud. That's why I was always so proud of my legacy and my career. It takes a lot to come up with anything new in wrestling. I mean, they've been doing it since the 20s or something like that. I mean, the stage is still the same. You got a referee, maybe lucky if you got a ballet or a prop of some kind, and that's about it. Maybe a bulldog or a parrot. and off you go, you know, and the rest is up to you to figure it out. And, you know, I thought of all kinds of stuff that when I watch stuff, I go, I think I was the first guy to ever drop a leg drop. I don't remember anybody ever doing a leg drop. I remember doing it for years in Calgary, and then like in the WWF, Hogan was doing it, and it's like, you know, even the front turnbuckle, I don't remember a wrestler, when I used to watch like the wrestlers when I was a kid, nobody ever took a front turnbuckle. I was the first guy that I remember ever taking it. I know for a fact I was the first wrestler to knock those big steel stairs over. But it's like I could sit there and go on about all these little things that I thought of first that nobody thought of, and it's really difficult to do, and I tip my hat to all the young wrestlers today for doing that. They've kept wrestling alive with their creativity and imagination. And like I said, Punk is probably the first one that comes to mind to me for a guy that's just been very creative and innovative, and that's why he's where he is. And it's nice that you, the wrestling fans, appreciate that about the young wrestlers today.
The only thing I think, is they're challenged by, a ton of TV shows. There's Raw, there's SmackDown, there's Main Event, there's Superstars. Heaven knows what else is out there. It's tough to come up with fresh stuff. Other than that, people get mad at me or they think I'm doing it on purpose. But I don't watch much, and I do that for a couple reasons. One, for 20 plus years, I've missed a ton of TV shows that I want to catch up on and get to know and to watch, and that's 2 or 3 hours out of my time that I'd like to see what else is out there in the world. And the other thing is, I want to feel the way about this business that I always felt. I have no desire to become some guy that's whatever, whining about whatever. They're challenged by things like we were challenged. It's just going to be a different time. And I guess at the end of the day, it's irrelevant, what any of us think. They're going to run this industry the way they want to run this industry. And who's ever working for them is going to have to adjust to that, do the best job they can. So, that's why I rarely give opinions on it, because it's nothing but some dude that used to wrestle's opinion, and it doesn't make it right. And plus, again, the guys that are there, they're just working their butts off. They don't set the ground rules. You know what I mean? They get dealt the deck, they get dealt the hand, and they play it. What's your name, buddy, and where are you from?
My name is Tyler, and I'm from New Jersey.
What's your question and for who?
My question is for Shawn Michaels. When you were dressed up in the white Undertaker suit, were you trying to intimidate the Undertaker or to make fun of him?
Well, let me put it to you this way. It's not smart to make fun of a 6'10", 270 pound. That's undefeated, okay? You know what? I was doing a little bit of both. I was hoping maybe, he doesn't intimidate much, but so I was mostly just sort of, being the contrast, sort of being the opposite of him, and hoping that maybe he might be impressed with that. He wasn't. So, and at the end of the day, he beat me up, and so here's a lesson to you. Don't make fun of people bigger than you.
All right, we got about 3 minutes, then we're going to do the second portion of the autograph. So your name and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Monet, and I'm from North New Jersey. My question is for both of you. An aspiring wrestler, and I was wondering what was the most important part of the beginning of you guys' career? Like, what kept you motivated and going through all the hard times?
I think Shawn and me had similar kind of beginnings. Like we we humbled ourselves, working small territories, and I know we never made any money. I know working for my dad, if you've ever worked for your father, isn't the most profitable place to wind up. And but in saying that, I think, and I know I can't speak for Shawn, but I think what was more important to me in those days was respect and credibility, and just being able to go out there and know you had a good match, and having one of the wrestlers come up to you and tell you that you had a good match, especially a veteran that you respected, come up and tell you that you had a good match. And I was lucky, I think, in the sense that I grew up with wrestling and followed it as a kid, and I think I had a good understanding of how it worked when I got into it. And I was lucky. I kind of got the hang of it pretty quick, and I have a feeling that Shawn was probably the same, that it didn't take him that long to get the hang of it in a lot of ways. I bet you in a lot of ways Shawn was as good as he was the first 6 months as he was at the end of his career, and I think, I was always pretty good as far as just sort of the natural ability of taking my falls and landing, how to protect myself, and I think that's was most important to me, was just the respect for my peers and knowing that in my own heart that I was as good as I thought I was.
For me, I have to say, as far as what got me inspired, nothing kept me going. I was so, I couldn't get enough of this job, so I didn't need any inspiration. I was so ate up with wanting to be a wrestler that wild horses wouldn't have been able to keep me